What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Focus TV. We got Octavia White here, Raymond Lyons. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. And if you guys hadn't heard, the WNBA Draft happened last night. Shout out to the 2.4 million people that tuned in, which is something I know a lot of folks that have been covering women's basketball for a while are very happy to hear that, the viewership continued to stay up after a fun NCAA tournament this year on the women's side. That said, there's a lot of fun stuff that goes with it, which I'm sure will come up as we have this discussion with new viewers and experts and things of that nature that have arose seemingly overnight. But we're going to recap this WNBA draft. Look, man, we all know who went number one. I don't think it was a shock here to anybody here. It was Caitlin Clark. Selected first by the Indiana Fever. We had Cameron Brink go to the Sparks. Chicago Sky go with Camila Cardoso. Rickea Jackson to the Sparks. Not a bad one too for the Sparks in the top 5 picks, and then JC Sheldon. So we're gonna start with this GC's 5. It shouldn't take too long. Only 12 teams in the W, so we can keep 5 folks on the page at a time, and we'll still be fine. I tell you, we'll start with you. Your thought on the first 5 picks, and then Ray.
The first 5 picks are pretty predictable. That was funny. I feel like the only one that maybe wasn't that predictable was JC Sheldon, just to figuring out like where other players could have possibly went. There was talks, of course, of Angel Reese or Deja Fair and some other players as well. I will be the first to say I'm so glad that Caitlin Clark has been selected so we could stop talking about it. It's driving me nuts. Like, it's literally driving me nuts. She's amazing. She's great. We get it. That's just me. I'm sorry. Congratulations to her, though. She deserved to go number 1. I'm interested to see what happens with Indiana because they have a lot of number 1 top 5 players in the last couple of years. I think they said this is the first team in I can't remember who the exact team was, but to have back-to-back number 1 picks. And the last team that did so was able to win a championship within 3 years of that. So big shoes to fill. Indiana is going to be all over our TVs this summer. I believe they said 90% of their games are going to be televised, which is wild. But we all know it's the Caitlin Clark effect. Seeing her play with Melissa and Aaliyah, I'm interested to see how it works out. Sneakily, I think Los Angeles did really well. Cameron Brink, all she does is play defense. That's not all she does, but she plays defense very, very well. I think she's a top shot blocker as well, and defensive player, I think, in the Pac-12. So very good. She doesn't have to go far. Caitlin doesn't have to go far. And then pairing her with Rickea Jackson, who's a 3-4 who can do a lot. She's very versatile. I'm interested to see how that works out, especially because Los Angeles had a lot of turnover this offseason. So it's interesting to see how those two will fit in immediately. Camila Cardoso, I think everybody was split between her and Cameron Brink going 2 or 3. You really can't go wrong with either one. Camila is, she's 6'7", and you see what she did all year long. As well as in the Final Four and in the championship games. So I'm not surprised. I know we didn't get to it yet, but her and Angel Reese on the same team, that's going to be very interesting. I think she had a joke in one of her press conferences after the draft saying, no team is going to get any rebounds on us. And she might not be lying, to be fair. But as we know, and as I want a lot of our new WNBA fans to know that, like we talked about last week, it's not going to be that sweet for all of these rookies. They're a great rookie class. We know that. But as we talked about last week, they've been playing, a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds. They're about to get in the W and play against some grown women, and it's going to be not as sweet as they think it's possibly going to be. And as we know, it's a quick turnaround. Season begins in like 2 to 3 weeks. So they got a lot to learn in a short period of time. And JC Sheldon, she had a great Ohio State career. She's definitely a shooter. She's going to bring a lot. to Dallas. So I'm interested to see how it all works out for all 5 of these players, but they're all 5 players well deserved in their rankings and in their picks in the draft. And the WGMs, they pay attention to a lot of things. So I'm not surprised that these players went where they went. And it's all about fit. It's never really about, granted, Caitlin Clark would have went number 1 regardless of who probably was picking number 1. But everybody else, it's really about fit and seeing who's going to play well in the schemes. We got a lot of new faces and new places in the W this year, and we have a lot of new coaches in the W this year as well. So I'm just interested to see how it all unfolds.
Ray.
Yeah, man. Like Octavia said, man, wasn't any surprises really here. The W is a lot more straightforward than the NBA in regards to drafts and things like that, because the talent is just so condensed. A wrong pick, especially in those spots, it'll set you back tremendously. So yeah, I wasn't shocked by any of these picks. It's going to be interesting to see how this how this rookie class performs. There's a lot being put on them. It's really almost setting some unrealistic expectations on their shoulders, because people don't come into the WNBA and wreck shop immediately. It rarely happens. You have your outliers like a Candace Parker, but she's different. Unless you have Candace Parker type ability, don't don't expect to come in and getting off to the races. It's probably the toughest transition in the 4 major sports from college to the pros, because of the size of the league. It's only 144 players. So if you're going to stick around, then you have to be amazing. That's like, imagine if you just took the top third of NBA talent, like how competitive that would be. And, these veterans are not welcoming to rookies. So, you have a target on your back already, because there's not many jobs and everybody's fighting to keep their job. So you're going to have to work that much harder to even get a job. If any of you don't know, first round picks get cut in training camp in this league. It's rough out here, man. So nothing's guaranteed. Of course, I believe all these ladies are up to the challenge. But whether they'll be able to to make it through, that's another story. Of course, these picks, these are some of the top players in college, so I'm not too worried about them. But temper your expectations, man. It doesn't typically translate in the same fashion. If you think Caitlin's going to come in here and put up 28 a game, that's just not going to happen. She shot 22 shots a game last year. The leading scorer in the WNBA shot 20 shots a game last year. So she's not going to come in with more of a green light than Jewel Lloyd. And she's not going to be able to have the impact Jewel Lloyd had last year in her rookie year. That just is what it is. It's no shade to her, but this is a tough league to play in. And she's at one of the toughest positions in this league to play in. I'm excited to see her get her career started, just as all the other ladies. Cameron Brink, that was a great pick for the Sparks. If you know anything about Kurt Miller, he can turn the franchise around. So it's going to be real interesting to see what they do. Especially with the turmoil they've been in the last few years. I'm sure everyone would like to forget the Derek Fisher saga, but yeah, man, it's just exciting times. Chicago with Camilla, the third pick, 6'7" and 6'7". he can't teach height and size, man. And she's a hard worker. She cleans up the glass. She can finish inside as well. JC Sheldon, just a prolific scorer. Having her there with Enrique is going to be good for her because just on Enrique's transition into the WNBA, she was a gunner in college, man. She was effective, but her first couple years, she had to change her game to to maximize the wing success. And she started around that corner, and they found themselves in the playoffs last year. So that's a good person for JC to learn from. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how these ladies get out the gate.
Yeah, my only 2 cents. I think y'all laid everything out for that. The first 5 picks. One of the things to keep in mind with JC Sheldon, Marina Mabry is no longer in Dallas because of some trades. So you had to replace that production. So there's almost like a ready-made role for her to walk into if she's able to seize said role. So that was the first thing I thought about when I saw them take JC. I was like, they trying to get new Marina because Marina's not there anymore. And it was Marina and Enrique rocking for a little bit, there. But like you guys said, man, Kurt Miller's going Kurt Miller, man. I'm not shocked by either one of them picks at all. Teresa Witherspoon, I'm not shocked that Camila Cardoso was the first choice of her tenure. All right. We're not going to be shocked about a guard that was known for hellacious defense to be like, I want the Great Wall of Brazil down here on my team immediately. Yes, I would want that too. All right, moving on to the rest of the draft is where it gets a little interesting or controversial, depending on who you are, how long you followed the league, or what have you. We got Aaliyah Edwards going to the Mystics at 6, Angel Reese to the Sky at 7. Minnesota link Cheryl Reeves, Mike Tebow, boy, they just be cheating. Elisa Pilley, boy. Then Dallas piling it up. We call her Yet. I'm sure I'm messing up your name. I will learn how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Then Layla Lacan. France on both the men's and women's side. I see y'all. That's all I want to see y'all. I see y'all. Y'all definitely been here on the women's side for a while, but I don't know what's in the water over there. But the prospects is all y'all as of late. Ray, we'll start with you this time. Looking at number 6, your thoughts on Aaliyah coming to Washington. And, we've been in the chat last night with all the quote-unquote controversy over the selection with who was available and whatnot, but go ahead.
Yeah, that pick should not have elicited the reaction it did from folks on social media, man. Like, it's weird because the criticism of the pick started with Aaliyah is the better player. So what is the problem? Like, I just don't get it, man. If you're gonna make a draft pick for superficial reasons, then it's probably a good thing that you're not making the pick. I think Aaliyah is she'll be a good fit next to Shakira. I feel like just her skill set is going to complement well what the Mystics need right now. And again, no shade to Angel Reese. I think that's a great pick for Chicago at number 7 to pair her with Camilla. But yeah, I just think for both of those teams, based on roster needs and fit, those were the picks that they should have made. And I feel like those they're both going to do well in their new spaces. Again, just like I said with the first 5, it's going to be an adjustment period, and it has the potential to be rough. There's some dogs at those positions. There's no way around it. So yeah, and like you said, man, Cheryl Reeve, she's just cheating at this point. I think that's a great pick. And I think Alyssa's she's gonna flourish under her. The challenge for her is going to be the pace of the game, but Cheryl's going to get her ready. I have no qualms about that. Not too familiar with the young ladies from France, but based on what they've been putting out recently on both sides, I have no doubt that they'll be ready to come in and play. But yeah, man, like just going back to that Mystics pick, I think that's the right decision. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah, I think that high-low action with Ali and Shakira, that might be something to look out for. And yeah, and the Mystics, they're in a period of transition. We saw some familiar faces leave. Natasha Cloud has gone on to Phoenix, and I'm not sure if there's any final word on what Elaine is going to do, but I think as of now, it's looking like she's not going to play this season. So yeah, man, they got some things to figure out.
Octavia?
Yeah, I feel like this is that type of situation where the W is very excited to have new fans and new people with fresh eyes on the league and generating a lot of buzz. But with that, it comes with a lot of uneducated people of the game as well. And that's where we get the crazy stuff on Twitter and all of the hoopla. It's crazy just because people are just and honestly, kudos to Angel because she puts herself out there where she's able to be in spaces where people may not follow WNBA, but they'll follow her. So I get it. But anybody who actually follows it, not just because of the name, understood the pick. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Washington is always going to pick the best player for what they got going on. We know who the GM is. We know who the head coach is. We know the type of things that they're going to do. They're always going to do the right thing. They're not out here for gimmicks. They're not out here for seat fillers because they don't got to worry about seat fillers. I think that was a lot of things people saying, well, he's just from the area. Nobody cares. And it is what it is. And that's, again, no shade to her either. And who knows? Maybe she didn't want to be here anyway. Maybe she didn't want to be at home or close to home. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it was the best pick for both teams, and that's all that matters. But yeah, I think the sneaky pick that honestly, because there's just been so much hoopla about the big names that are going in the draft in the top 5 and 6. Alyssa Peely literally slipped my mind. I don't know how. I literally don't know how, but she slipped my mind. And when I heard her name get called, I was like, damn. Yeah, that's a good pick. She can get you from any type of way. She's gonna bully you. She could step out and hit the 3. She's very versatile. Like you said, probably her biggest transition in this coming from college to the league is going to be the pace of the game. But like you already stated, Cheryl Reed will get her in. She'll get her ready. Minnesota is a team that comes from also a very legendary lineage in the W as well. They do things the right way as well. To see her play with Diamond and everything else that they got out there is going to be interesting. And that's why I love the W, because every year it really gives each team really has a good opportunity. It really just depends on who executes their opportunity the best throughout the season. So yeah, I forgot about her for a second. I'm so sorry, Alyssa, that I did that to you. But it was like a pleasant surprise when I heard her name get called. I was like, oh yeah, she's a dog. So I have no qualms with these picks. The 2 France guards, I think both of them are already pretty much kind of semi-pro over there, so they're already going to come with a lot of experience as well. I don't know if they're coming over immediately. But when they do get here, they'll be ready to go. Both going to good organizations in Dallas and Connecticut. So doesn't surprise me. A lot of times when you get those top names kind of done, and then that's not to disrespect the ones that were called afterwards, but when you get those top names that are done, they definitely start dibbling, dabbling overseas because they know what's going on over there as well. The GMs, and not to say that the NBA GMs don't know either, but a lot of people who don't also watch WNBA games a lot don't realize that these girls play all year round. They play in the W and they play overseas. So the GMs are super plugged into what's going on overseas. So just because you might not know her does not mean she's not a dog. So I'm interested to see how, both of those players work out when they get here and they start playing. Because usually when they take them that high, it's for a reason. So I'm interested to see how that works out for them.
All right, just providing a little background in terms of like Aaliyah. I always want to say Coach Tebow, but General Manager Tebow, because it'd be messing with me. Mike.
I mean, when you say Coach Tebow, it's the same thing too. You know, there's.
Hey man, one of them drafted Mike and one of them ain't. So there's a difference. One's related to the dude that drafted Mike. So Mike Tebow talked to the media a little bit last night. And he was saying like they were kind of wringing their hands last week about is the league gonna fall to us? What if somebody take her? So like, give y'all some background. Like they came to this draft like that's our pick. Like that was who they wanted to pair. Like going for this rematch with Shakira. In terms of the fit, she meant someone asked about the fit. Talked about got all their bigs, their front court, just being able to complement each other. You got Dolson, who's kind of a little bit more of a traditional big at times, but she could step out, hit the three. Where the biggest thing they were talking about was they didn't want to get players that operate out of the same space. So you can mix and match everybody. Everyone should be okay, and they should be able to coexist, and it should be fine. One of the things they were really excited about with Aaliyah was, the work she put in on her mid-range jumper, which we saw all throughout her college career, go from, hey, I guess I'll shoot it, to this is a whole weapon by the time she left Connecticut. And, the Mystics. If you can hit a mid-range, they're going to tell you to work on the three. That's what they're going to. If you can hit the long two, you can take a step back. So that's one of the things there obviously want her to work on already. Talked about like her transition. Her biggest transition might be, Ray's mentioned transition several times. Not only taking a step back in terms of hitting the three, but playing more face up. But at the same time, after he said that, he was like, however, she operated out the high post at Connecticut, making reads and whatnot as well. Ray, you talked about that high-low game. I think that's going to be a beautiful thing for Shakira. I think some of the stuff Aaliyah already does complement Shakira oh so well. And some of the things Aaliyah just doesn't have in terms of that extra 3 to 4 inches of height, Shakira does in fact have. So it should be fun, but not shocked, Ray. I'm with you. I was hoping for that was going to be the outcome with the pick as well. Leah was just talking about how excited she was, to land here. And coach was mentioning when they had like their Zoom call with them, that, the vibes were good. Everyone was, they were bought in. They got what they wanted. That's what mattered. In the second round, they took a young lady from Gonzaga. Wish her the best. Couldn't come in, try to come in camp, compete. We know how that is. Ray mentioned it. This ain't the NBA. Draft day is great. It's wonderful. You get a placard. People, you get announced with the logo. The camp starts, and we might see you in 2 years, because that's might be how long it takes you to crack roster spot. He talked about Klessens, another Belgian shocker, but he said she's a very young 19. It's going to take some time for her to fill her body out, but essentially it's not a bad thing to have a 6-foot wing that can hit threes that you have the rights to. So, the Tebows and the Reeves always plotting on the future, having something in the tuck for just in case. Not shocked that they did what they had to do in this draft. At the end of the rest of this first round, you have Marquisha Davis, guard out of Ole Miss. Shout out to her going to Liberty. Pouch out of Australia to the Dream, which their type. You anywhere between 6 and 6'1", and you play on the wing, come on down. You have hit the requirements to play on the Atlanta Dream. So, they had a second and third round picks. I'm going to put some of those up there. Y'all just let me know if there's anybody that jumped out to you guys that you wanted to touch on before we move on to the NBA and the play-in games that have started while we're
Deja Fair to the Aces is unfair.
It's so sneaky. For Deja Fair to go to the Aces, to be behind Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and not to mention Becky Hammond, who was an undersized guard herself. It's honestly probably the best situation Deja could have ended up in. Because the only knock on her is her height. That's it. There's nothing else about her that can tell you that she couldn't be a top 5 pick in the draft. The only reason I think she got to where she got is because of her height. And there were needs that other teams needed that they didn't need in her. But yeah. And as well as
Aces had a fantastic second round.
Yeah,
Martin is a solid pick. And Elizabeth
She's gonna
Kitley.
be out because she just tore her ACL at the end of the season, so she's not going to play this year. But for her to be able to go to Las Vegas, learn behind Asia Wilson, Candace Parker, and just to be around them and rehab around in that facility, and we know their owner spends the money. He spends the money, so he's going to do good. It is definitely going to be a thing. And congratulations to Ashley Owusu. We know
Absolutely.
her checker, if you want to call it a checker pass, whatever you want to say, she had a great couple of years at Maryland, had a down year at Virginia Tech, and she was able to kind of bounce back this past year at Penn State to get drafted. We know what Ashley can do. We've all seen it up close and personal as well. So for her to get an opportunity, which a lot of these players have said that, just getting the opportunity, now it's on me. I'm excited to see what she's able to do because we've had a lot of surprises, like you said, there are people who get picked in the first round that are not on teams. And there are people who get picked in the second and third round who end up sticking. So you never really know. So for them to get an opportunity, that's what's up. So shout out to Ashley Owusu too. But yeah, there's a lot of good names that had really good college careers that are in this, second and third round that if they get a good opportunity and they go into camp focused and ready, you never know what could happen. Charisma, she's as seasoned as it can get in the college game. Mackenzie Holmes, she had a great year in Indiana as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz Shelley as well. She could shoot it too. And if she is able to get in that camp behind, Kalia Copper and I think and Diane Taurasi and Natasha, and the sky's the limit. So a lot of these players have really, really good opportunities. It's just how they execute on it.
Right, you had anybody else? You mentioned the Aces having a good draft. Like quietly, they had a wonderful draft for somebody who just won a championship. Like Elizabeth Kitley, for those of you who, like, as Octavia said, I'm gonna try to remember this all year when we talk about the W. For some of you who are just coming over, if Kitley didn't tear her ACL, that would have bumped some of y'all favorite players down a little bit. It would have been, the NFL draft has a run on positions. It would have been a run on centers right there.
Definitely top five. She's definitely there.
It would have been Brent, Cardoso, and Kitley in some order, however you want to list them. It was going to go boom, 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 and then the fours. I think who else had a quietly good draft? I thought Seattle did. You talk about depth that actually like kind of low key crack. Like so you got Mackenzie Holmes, right?
And they got Nika Mule too, right? Yeah.
Yep. And they already started their little youth movement. Last year Jewel was playing with some of the youngsters, and then they injected some vets over there. So now that's Sky, Jewel, NECA. The kids that had already been playing with Jewel, now you got some more kids and supplement. Seattle doesn't want to stay bad either, man. Only 12 teams. You got to respect the teams that want to stay competitive and not stay on the outside for too long, man. But like y'all said, wish every one of these young ladies good luck. It's real, man. It's so real. And just because even if you don't end up in the league this year, sticking this year, there's overseas, improve your game, start kicking people's butts over there. They never stop looking, and then come rough somebody's spot.
GM's gonna find you.
Yeah. All you gotta do is go rough one of their draft picks overseas, beat they behind. They'll know. Then you'll have someone's spot. All right, on to the NBA. We usually have the Wizards here, but we took some time after game 82. We took some time, go to the Roku channel. Ray, Cardell, myself, full therapy session for Wizards fans, looking into the offseason. It was like an hour of our lives. We sat there and we looked at what the offseason had to offer, right? So there's no Wizards segment this week. Go to Roku channel and just hit the button if you want to. It's that simple. So easy. Anything Ray said everything he had to say there and more. And more. All right, get into this play-in. We got some games on. We got 2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow. Who's in the play-in after they famously said they don't like it. They're playing right now. You got Lakers, Pelicans.
Even in the last 3 years, but they don't like it. It's okay.
Hey, man, you know how people are sometimes. We're gonna end up talking about who several times tonight, so it's okay. They're up 57-44 at the moment over the Pelicans and the 7-8 matchup. Then you got the 9-10 matchup out west in the Kings and the Warriors later this evening. After we're done recording, and tomorrow we got the Eastern teams in the play-in. 7-8 matchup is the Sixers and the Heat. Then the 9-10 matchup, the Bulls and the Hawks. Ray, your thoughts on the play-in, then Octavia. You can start whether it's East or West. It's up to you.
My thoughts on the play-in is it shouldn't be happening, but it's nothing we can do about that now. So, but no, seriously, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The Lakers should be ashamed of themselves, to be perfectly honest. They had their horses for the majority of the season this year, so it's not an excuse. Yeah, they shouldn't be in this position. He who shall not be named ducked a couple games late in the season that could have not had them here. But this not about to be a dump session. But from a basketball standpoint, man, their lives are going to be difficult. Should they continue how they're going in this game, their present is going to be the Nuggets. So yeah, good luck. Kings Warriors, they gave us a classic series. Was that last year? Yeah. So time is just so weird now. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, that should be a good game, man. The Kings, they took a little step back this season, but they're losing Malik Monk at the period they did hurt them. So yeah, they're still trying to figure that out. But the Warriors, they refuse to not be in the mix. And here they are still fighting for their postseason lives. So yeah, it's just it's entertaining to see the old guard not wanting to fade away. Somebody's gonna have to put them out their misery. So good luck. On the East side, the Bulls and the Hawks. I mean, again, I just look at that 36-46, and you still having a chance to play basketball after 82 games. Just doesn't sit well with me. But the Bulls haven't been the greatest of teams either. So that's a toss-up for me, man. And the 76ers and the Heat, like I don't know what Miami's problem is. Like why do they just decide to turn it on at the last 3 weeks of the season every year? But we saw them make a push last season. So yeah, I think they're going to get that game over Philly. Philly, man, they've had a lot of postseason disappointment lately. And it's unfortunate that they're in the position they're in, but Joel missed a lot of time, which of course derailed their season a little bit. But kudos to those guys for still remaining in the within striking distance and have a chance to to continue to play in the postseason. So yeah, man. But whoever wins that game, the Knicks, that's not a great consolation prize either. With the way Jalen Brunson's playing, yeah, it is going to be a rough life. And then of course whoever ends up in the 8th seed, you get the league leading Celtics, who I'm sure they're on a mission. They've come close a couple times with this with the Cordes group, with the Jays and those other guys they got some new pieces this year. A good veteran presence with Drew Holiday, who already has a championship. So he should be able to to get him some insight in how this thing goes. But yeah, man, I like the way they played this year. I'm looking forward to see if they can finish the job. But the most intriguing first round series I'm looking at, Bucks and Pacers. That Giannis injury, man, that changes a lot. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. And of course, with the nature of the injury, that calf strain, I think the Bucks are going to be extremely cautious with that, given what we saw, especially with Kevin Durant. And it's only natural to have concerns about the Achilles when you get that injury. So and it just sucks that it happens at this time. And I know Giannis wants to be out there, so it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that. But yeah, man, the Pacers, they got an opportunity here, and I'm sure they're thinking that way. They're sure they're a 6 seed, but the other team doesn't have their guy. So this is an opportunity for Dame and Chris Middleton and those guys to kind of pick up some slack. So yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to a great playoffs. And it's always fun when the Clippers and the Mavericks play each other. So that's going to be real interesting too. But yeah, man. So yeah, I'm just ready for these games to get started.
Yes, indeed, Octavia. Your thoughts on the ever so wonderful play-in?
Yeah,
and the rest of and the actual playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think they need to officially separate this. Like, if you play in the play-in, you're not in the playoffs. Like, I don't want to hear next year like, oh, the Bulls, we went to the play. No, let's make sure we differentiate. But starting with the Pelicans and the Lakers, since they're playing now, I don't know what it is. The Lakers just have the Pelicans number this year. They had a pretty decent year all year, even before. But I think it kind of fell off with the Brandon Ingram injury, even though he's back now. But they in the big games that they needed, they just haven't been able to show up. The whole in-season tournament, they didn't show up well in that, as well as the last game of the season that could have changed where their positioning was. I believe if they won that game, they would have been the 6th seed and not even in this position. And now having to play the Lakers back to back, and I think it's halftime now. And I think the last time I looked, they were down by 10 or so. So, and again, like you said, it's a disgrace for the Lakers. Last year, the excuse was Anthony Davis, LeBron James didn't play. They were injured a lot. I think they said Anthony Davis played in 76 games this year. I can't remember if it was 72 or 76. Played in that many games this year. LeBron didn't miss a whole lot of time as well. So I don't know what their excuse is this year. But I'm sure they'll find one and somebody will run with it. But yeah, they're going to be damned if they do, damned if they don't. They win this game, they get the Nuggets. They lose this game, you never know what can happen. So I guess we'll see. Right now, they're in the driver's seat to be able to win the game. And I guess they'll be able to say we made it to the playoffs in the first round. That's cool. But it's not going to be easy for them if they win this game. Kings and the Warriors. The Kings had such a promising season from last year. Again, like you said, they gave us a great series last year between the two of them. Game 7, Steph went off for 50. And yeah, I'm sure the Kings are looking for some get back, but it's going to be way harder this year than it was last year. Losing Malik Monk, who was playing as well as he was, for 6th man of the year, definitely is going to hurt them. Losing Kevin Huerter, the 3-ball, definitely is going to hurt them. It's all going to really fall on De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, and they're going to need another other. Right now, the other should be Keegan Murray. We know the type of player he can be. He has to have a good game. But the way the Warriors have been playing lately, towards the end of the season, they slightly, maybe like this much, look like the Warriors of the old, like tiny bit. I mean, I watched a game of theirs not that long ago. I've never seen Draymond make more than 2 threes in a game, I think. That was wild. So something is happening out there. Everybody wrote playoff, earlier in the season. And he's showing that he still got something left in the tank. And then their young boys are actually playing pretty decent. Jackson Day, Trey, him, I can't remember his name. He got the hyphenated last name. He's been playing well. Padinsky, I probably said it wrong. He's been a surprise as well. Andrew Wiggins has come on again as of late. Kuminga was out for a while, but he's had a good season as well. If the Kings aren't playing perfect, it's going to be a wrap. The Warriors will take that game. And the Warriors playing against either one of the Pelicans or the Lakers, you never know. I'm very underwhelmed with the Bulls and the Hawks. I'll watch it because it's on. Not too much invested in it. If I had to choose, I'm always going to side with DeMar DeRozan. He's a dog. He's a sniper. He gonna hit you with a mid. He gonna do the same thing he's done all year and all his career, and everybody knows it's coming. You can't stop it. And them not having Trae Young, you can see how that's kind of. I mean, I think it was maybe two or 3 years ago when they got DeJounte Murray. Everybody thought Atlanta was on the come up, and it has not panned out well at all. I think the last Atlanta game I watched is when they played Boston and DeJounte Murray took 44 shots. That's the only formula I can see them going forward winning games is DeJounte just hoisting it up there and see, what happens. Of course, I feel like the most interesting one is going to be the 76ers and the Heat, just because the 76ers are here because of the Joel Embiid injury. They're playing really well early in the season, top 3 in the East. And as soon as Joel left, it all went down here. And just like Ray said, they are accustomed to postseason letdowns. It's going to be tough to have it again. And we know what the Heat does. They did it last year. They're always going to play scrappy. Tyler Herro's getting back also after injury. I'm interested to see the dynamic between the teams playing because, Kyle Lowry started off with the Heat. Now he's with the Sixers. That's always going to be interesting because, both teams are hard-nosed players. I feel like there's going to be some tussling going on.